Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind the things we love, play, and sometimes rage quit. Today's question comes from one of our awesome subscribers, Sayaf Liberty. Thanks for sending this in. They asked, how are video games shaping storytelling today? Now, if you've ever cried over a cutscene, screamed at a dialogue choice, or wondered why you spent 12 hours fishing in a fantasy game when you could have done it in real life for free, you've probably realized that games aren't just games anymore. They've become stories you live through. Stories with heart, chaos, and the occasional talking raccoon with a sniper rifle. So if you've ever been curious about how your favorite games are rewriting the rules of storytelling, from emotional side quests to moral panic over stealing virtual bread, stick around. We're breaking it all down right here on Explaining Everything. Let's start with choice, the magical mechanic that allows players to make decisions that absolutely ruin everything. In older games, you'd follow one strict path. You're the hero. Here's the bad guy. Go punch him in the face. The end. But in modern storytelling-heavy games like Mass Effect, The Witcher 3, or Detroit, Become Human, your choices matter. Like butterfly effect level matter. 1 minute you're helping a stranger, the next you've doomed an entire town because you forgot to say please. The beauty of this is that it turns the player into the co-author of the story. You're not just following a plot, you're shaping it, and also occasionally ruining it when you pick the sarcastic option just for laughs. Another major shift is immersion. In games, you're not reading about a character or watching them on screen. You're them. You're in the story, whether you like it or not. When something terrible happens to the protagonist, it hits harder because you were there. You made the decisions. You walked that path, even if that path involved fighting 12 trolls, falling off a cliff twice, and looting every drawer along the way. This level of immersion turns games into experiences. You don't just remember what the character did. You remember what you did. Even if what you did was accidentally romance a space lizard. We're not judging. Storytelling in books and movies is usually a straight line. Beginning, middle, end. Boom, done. In games, that line has side quests, and fishing, and gambling, and a mysterious talking goat that sends you on a 10-hour fetch quest that has nothing to do with the main plot. Open-world games like Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild, and Baldur's Gate 3 embrace non-linear storytelling. You can explore, wander, mess around, and in doing so, build your own story. Some players never even finish the main plot. They just vibe, which is totally valid. Sometimes the best story is just helping villagers with their problems while wearing ridiculous armor. Let's not ignore how games have become incredibly cinematic. Some of them feel like movies you control, only with way more sword fights and slightly worse acting. Games like God of War, Uncharted 4, and Red Dead Redemption 2 blur the line between cinema and gameplay. You're getting expertly written dialogue, beautiful visuals, and deep character arcs. And then a quick-time event reminds you that yes, this is still a video game. Even indie games like Journey or Inside tell powerful stories using visuals, music, and gameplay alone. No dialogue, no narrator, just pure minimalist storytelling that somehow hits you right in the feelings. Let's talk about characters. Video games don't just introduce you to characters, they make you live with them. You're not just watching someone evolve over time. You're grinding levels with them, making choices with them, and watching them grow or fall apart in real time. Look at Kratos. He started as a rage-fueled god killer. Now, he's a soft-spoken, emotionally damaged dad with an axe and feelings. And somehow, we all care. Or take Clementine from The Walking Dead. You watch her grow from a scared child to a hardened survivor, and every step of the way, you're right there beside her. Games let characters evolve in a way that feels deeply personal, like emotional therapy with boss battles. One of the coolest things about video game storytelling is that you're not always the noble hero. You can be a villain, or at least a morally flexible menace who robs townspeople, kicks chickens, and lies to every NPC with a quest. Games like Fallout, New Vegas, or Fable let you explore what it's like to make the wrong choices, sometimes just for fun. And that exploration helps make storytelling more complex, less black and white, and a whole lot more entertaining. Sometimes being evil is the most revealing form of storytelling. Like, why did you punch that innocent guard and run? What does that say about you, Jeff? Now, let's not ignore multiplayer games. At first glance, they seem story-free, just competition and chaos. But dig deeper, and there's a whole new kind of storytelling happening. Let's take a moment to talk about Helldivers, a game that proves storytelling doesn't always need long cutscenes, tearful monologues, or moody violin music. Sometimes it just needs chaos and friendly fire. You play as soldiers fighting for managed democracy, which is basically space fascism with extra explosions. The story? It unfolds in real time as you and your friends desperately try to complete missions while accidentally blowing each other up. There are no long cutscenes here, just pure co-op mayhem. Every mission becomes its own story, usually involving poor decisions, panic, and someone yelling, "Get to the dropship!" right before getting crushed by a supply pod. The best stories aren't written. They're screamed over voice chat and remembered forever. So, in short, video games are flipping storytelling on its head. They're not just telling us stories, they're letting us live them, shape them, mess them up, and laugh about it later. From emotional character arcs to chaotic multiplayer mayhem, games are making narratives more personal, more immersive, and way more ridiculous in the best way possible. And with technology evolving, who knows? The next great story might not be in a book or a movie. It might be hiding behind your next respawn. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how games are turning storytelling into controlled chaos, or if you just like pressing shiny buttons, please like and subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.